This is TheWrap's 2017 South by Southwest interview studio at the Plexus Lodge here in Austin. We're thrilled to welcome filmmakers Chris Shellen and Jeff Mallenberger of Spettacolo, right?
Very well
I just
pronounced.
said that like
Well
an
done.
Italian restaurant commercial.
You're a native, right?
Yes, I did. I did this in dinner theater in college. Really amazing indie documentary. And now, Jeff, you are a South by Southwest jury prize winner for documentary for Marwin Call.
Yes,
in 2010.
another almost impronounceable documentary.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You really love easy, breezy titles. Well, congratulations, you guys. I believe you are in competition, and it's an amazing premise. Can you just tell us a little bit about what this doc is about?
Sure. It's about a tiny little village in Italy, and for the past 50 years, the town has been dealing with their problems by turning their lives into a play that the entire town writes and performs.
I know it touches on like the history of the town. I think there was a Nazi occupation at one point. The crops dry up and they all just go and perform it. Like I can't even imagine how much time did you spend there and who flagged you to this.
We just discovered it by accident as tourists. So we wandered into this town, and it didn't seem like any other Tuscany. I don't know if you've been to Tuscany, but it's like, as much as those hill towns are beautiful, they're sort of these like Disneyland of wine and cheese, and you don't see any real people who live there.
Right.
Whereas this town, there were no shops, and it just was from another time. It was like Brigadoon or something, and we're like, what is going on here? And we saw a flyer and just started to investigate, and it turned out they had been using theater as their sort of principal mode of communication for the last 50 years. So,
We actually moved into the town for about 6 months, and about a week into it, our translation plans kind of fell through, so we had to learn Italian in a hurry.
Yeah. How did you do it?
Immersion.
Yeah.
You can learn a new language after 30.
yeah. And I will say, there was that one day where it was like the Matrix. You just felt like you stepped through the wall, and we were like, wait, was that last interview in English or Italian?
Finished.
Like,
Yeah, I understood everything he said.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
now it was a hard 3 months up until that point, but after that it was kind of,
So you have Italian street cred, which is all that really matters.
See.
as far as we can tell.
I mean, it's so interesting. Like, so do you think in like 5 years they'll do a play about the Americans that came to make a movie?
There were early drafts of this
Meta.
one where we were in it, and
We were almost in it.
had cameras and were following people around, but our part got cut.
We were worried about visa issues, so.
What is who started this? What is the genesis of it's like a free therapy, I guess.
Yeah, right.
It was started back in the 1960s. Their whole farming system changed, and they kind of lost their identity.
Right.
Tuscany, back in the 1960s, like what it looks like now. Back then, it looked medieval. There were farmers were living in the barns with cattle and things like that.
Right.
And when that all changed, the towns were drying up, people were moving away, and they decided to kind of protest against that.
Sure.
And they didn't know how to do it, so they came up with this crazy idea to create a theater, and it worked.
Just looking over the notes for this, it seems so unique, but I don't know how unique it is, because I mean I could list you 10 projects that have just been put in development based on the election or Orwellian sort of stuff coming. So maybe it's just like a microcosm, like what is that? Paint your village and you paint the world kind of thing.
Right.
It's not as uncommon as we would think. And do you find those parallels?
Yeah, I mean, one interesting part about documentary, as you know, you work on the film for a long time, and there were certain things in the film that for American audiences early on they would kind of scoff at or wonder. Some of the more serious, scary stuff, the Orwellian kind of aspects, and I've noticed since the election, no one laughs at those lines anymore. Like they get that, because if you look at Italian history, they've sort of been through this already several times, frankly. So unfortunately, fortunately, we were there for a summer, because the idea was to follow a play from beginning to end. We were there for a year that was prescient, I think.
As long as we're sort of on topic, I understand a couple grants you guys got, which is awesome to make this film. One of which is from the NEH, and there's huge threats of defunding the entire thing. How does that feel? And I'm sure, and I feel like the doc community is much stronger than most of other filmmaking.
Yeah.
Are your friends freaking out? How are you guys sort of coping with the threat?
Well, yes. I mean, everyone's freaking out and worried about institutions like PBS and the NEH and the NEA, obviously, because the art it's crucial for life. I mean, they talk about it in Italy too, because they went through the same round of funding cuts, and one of the politicians said, "Well, you can't eat art in times of trouble, right?"
Yeah.
But you may not be able to eat art, but without it, what's the point of living?
Yeah.
And it really sort of builds our culture. So it's interesting that we made a movie about a town that's having trouble getting funding for the arts, and it was made with money from an organization.
Yeah, they thought that was hilarious, by the way. While we were filming their fact that they had no money, they were like, wait, you have American grants to study us and how we have no money or grants. And they just, I think they were both amused in that Italian way and also a little frustrated.
Eat that art.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Oh my God. So, do you guys feel like called to action? Is there anything you're eyeing to throw your support against, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of designed to be more of a think piece on it, you know, and what is that value of art and what is that value of culture and what happens when you center art in your life for 50 years? What does that community look like, you know, and how does that community get along and how do they benefit? So, you know, the call to action is hopefully a reaffirmation of the importance of it, especially at a time when I think that art and its value in society is being weighed. You know, here's an example of people who did it and it worked.
Absolutely. Well, I do hope someone, and I'm sure someone will pick it up and we'll all get to see it.
Yeah.
And then continue the discussion. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.